This is the contact point. Is there a name? Are there? Yes.
Morrnah, with these lost souls, why wouldn't their family god or their guardian angel or whatever term take them where they're supposed to go?
The question is, the people that have died, why doesn't their guardian angels or almacores take them to where they need to go? I don't think it's a thing that they could do, that the people that have died have created their own problems, or circumstances have created so that they're not able to move on.
So they're locked into that.
Right. They are locked in. Now, many of the great beings or light beings are locked into mountains, cinder cones, rivers, lakes. And these are things I have been doing in the last several years, but more so now, that they're locked there and they're not in a position to express themselves. It is through the misuse of mankind. They are locked in. So if they're a light being, it is also difficult for them.
By the way, we're having copies Xeroxed of this for you, so you don't have to write.
Oh, no.
So quick. Do you want this recorded for camera?
Even your short message into the computer is going to be on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it kind of gives you an idea. There'll be three types. So this one is the regular Ho'oponopono. But the other Ho'oponopono, it would be what you would do between yourself and God and the Creator before you ever attempt this. In other words, if you ever see a surgeon going into surgery, right straight from the street in, you do not. He scrubs himself, he prepares himself, he puts his gown and cap on, and this is the way we go into this, with great respect to the people concerned and to the divine source. We always do. So the idea of cleansing yourself first is important, very important.
Morrnah,
Yes.
in the first case, you seem to have had all the facts before it was presented to you. The young man wanting to go to school and then the young girl not wanting. You had the facts before, whereas in the second...
No, the
case,
first one I had it piecemeal. I had a little bit, and then the professor goes, maybe a week has transpired, and something else developed. So he calls me or brings it to class and presents it. So each one is a sort of a gradual. So, but however, he never has encountered a case like that he was able to solve within the short time, and have two people become so balanced that they're able to know exactly what they want to do. And so they are very happy because of the choices that they've made. In other words, it allows a person to find his own space. That's it. Yes.
I worked as a medical doctor with a lot of dying patients, and in
Yes.
some cases I was very upset with what had happened. Does that mean that that connection might be holding those people in that hospital?
Let's see. Would you mind repeating that quick? I'm just trying to put it together.
I worked as a medical doctor with dying patients for a while, and in some cases I got upset about the results of what happened to certain patients who died. Is my upset holding those people in a place that doesn't allow them to move?
I would say yes. You can take it collectively. If you want to do a Ho'oponopono, the question was, he's a medical doctor and tends to patients, dying patients. There's some he's been very concerned about. So his concern also acts as an attachment, a detriment. Sometimes we take love as we feel it's fine, but it can become a detriment, a possession, an attachment. See? But we don't look at it at the time of death. We don't look at it. I used to work in the tubercular hospital, and everybody died on my shift. They all died on my shift. But I always gave the last rites. But I always did a Ho'oponopono because it cleanses them, and then it allows them to make that quick transition. They don't have to wait 3 days. They're able to make that transition a lot easier and happier. Even if he were a criminal, it doesn't make any difference. Yes.
What are the Huna last rites?
I beg your pardon?
What are the Huna last rites?
No.
Hawaiian last rites.
this, similar to this, but it's made it so it's easier for you to do. So when you do the Ho'oponopono, it clears that person's path. And then you wind up by saying, we will go into that, by going into that area of releasing him. So that when that moment of death comes, he automatically moves without being held there for 3 days or so and make that transition. Yeah. So when we say when
Do you have any classes that you're presently teaching that we could take on how to do this?
That's interesting. The question is, do we have any classes presently, do I have, that I'm teaching? This is my last public session. This is my last public appearance. Yes.
You may mention the workshop Tuesday night. Ho'oponopono workshop.
Where's that?
Tuesday night when you were going to give the video session.
Wait, do you folks still want to have it? Yes. Okay, fine. All right, sure. Then we can go into it. And if any of you have a difficult case to work on, I would like to have 2. Because 2.
We'll have the pages printed up today of this, so you'll have to take back to get familiar with it. So then when Tuesday night comes around to the workshop, you'll have a little working
Fine.
knowledge with it.
Because
Take
this
over
is
any
important.
questions like that.
Thank
So
you.
you're not teaching any
No.
classes?
I have so many others because now it seems like with this class that has opened up at the Kilkenny Hospital, that the interesting part, I gave the course of 8 weeks in 2 hours. And I made them understand that there was an 8-week course that I was giving in 2 hours. But they were so alert and so open that I knew they would be able to do this very well. So,
Can you do that with us Tuesday night?
oh, sure. I have children who turned on at the age 7 and they do marvelously well. So I'm sure you could. And in this particular class that I gave, they went home and they applied it to themselves. They came to work. Now, in most institutions, they have a lot of problems. And I don't think any institution doesn't have any. But this particular one had tremendous problems, traumatic situations between administration and workers. Now, the nurses have the upper hand because without the nurses, hospital can't go on. So because of that, it creates stress. So I taught the nurses. They went home and applied this to themselves first. I don't want them applying to the institution. I want them to apply it to themselves. They changed their attitude because the very next day they came to work, and those that they have created problems and trauma for in every department was resolved. Because the woman that was talking to the executive with tears rolling and said, "What has happened to these people?" And the executive said, "Why? My God, we get picked to the bone and I'm about ready to resign." And he said, "But they come in the morning, there's so much love and rapport, I just can't get over it." So the executive said, "Just think of what this has done to his group and will continue to." So I taught the executive. I said, "You know, the institution is only as good as the head. Sit there and do it." So I will do it. I said, "I will represent the institution, the patient from the beginning of its installation, because it was in the beginning geared for the Japanese. And now it is it's open to everyone." So we did it from the time it was started to the present. Patients who have moved on, patients who are there, patients who have been dismissed, family, relatives, ancestors. So he does it to me, I to him, and we transmute that. And he feels that, I'm sure he felt, the load was off. There's a lot of things were off. And I feel administration will be a lot better. Because there's that rapport that's established between institution and work. Administrators must also be balanced. So you can bring balance into your lives, into the life of the institution itself. You got harmony, and people are a lot happier. So this is a great thing. That overnight result that happened was so moving to the executive, to think they just had a class the night before and the day after they have changed completely. So